The Art of Discernment, Principles of Ignatian Spirituality. Life's journey is full of crossroads, moments in which we must make decisions that shape our future. From major choices, such as a vocation or a job change, to more mundane ones, such as how we spend our time, uncertainty can generate anxiety. The good news is that, for believers, faith is not a map that eliminates uncertainty, but a compass that guides us toward God's will. Discernment, a spiritual practice deeply rooted in the tradition of the Church, is the tool that allows us to listen to that inner voice and make decisions in tune with our divine purpose. Saint Ignatius of Loyola, founder of the Society of Jesus, developed a method of discernment that is a beacon for many. In his spiritual exercises, he teaches us that discernment is a constant dialogue with God, a process of distinguishing between the spirits at work within us. It's not just about choosing between good and evil, but about discerning between two possible goods. Which path leads me closer to God? Which decision gives me deeper and more lasting peace? For Ignatius, this process is based on three key principles. The motion of the spirits. Our interior life is in constant motion. We experience consolation, feelings of peace, hope, joy, closeness to God, and desolation, sadness, anxiety, hopelessness, distancing ourselves from the faith. A fundamental principle is that, in desolation, we should not make important decisions. It is a time to endure and remember the resolutions we made in times of consolation. Desolation is a test, not a signal to change course. Instead, consolation is the propitious state for making decisions, for it manifests the closeness of the Holy Spirit. The examination of conscience. Ignatian discernment invites us to daily introspection. The exam is not a simple recounting of sins, but a reflective prayer in which we review the day. When did I feel God's presence? What gave me peace? What troubled me? By recognizing the patterns of our feelings and thoughts, we begin to understand the direction in which God is leading us. Prayer and imagination. Ignatius encourages us to use our imagination in prayer, to ask for the grace to understand God's will, and to visualize possible decisions. He invites us to imagine what our life would be like if we made one decision or another, and to feel the impulses, comfort or desolation, that emerge from that visualization. The tradition of the saints offers us a vast testimony to the importance of discernment in the life of faith. It is not a formula, but an attitude of the heart. Saint Francis of Assisi, for example, did not seek a perfect life plan from the beginning. His discernment was a journey of radical obedience and attentive listening. Hearing Christ's voice on the cross of San Damiano, "Francis, repair my church," he initially thought of the stone temple. Only later, through prayer and the guidance of the Spirit, did he understand that his mission was to rebuild the living Church of Christ, and so he founded his order. His path was one of coming and going, a constant surrender to divine guidance. Saint Teresa of Avila insisted on the importance of humility and spiritual direction. Despite her mystical experiences, she always sought the advice of spiritual directors to ensure that her visions came from God and not from her own imagination. She teaches us that discernment is not a solitary process. Community and the guidance of others are essential to validate and confirm our intuitions. Saint John of the Cross reminds us that God's will is often found in detachment and purification. In his dark night of the soul, He describes a process of passive purification where God strips us of our sensible consolations so that we can love Him for Himself. In those moments of darkness, faith becomes the only light, and discernment focuses on perseverance and complete trust in God, even when we don't feel it. Discernment doesn't guarantee that we'll never make mistakes, nor that the path will always be easy. What it does offer us is the peace that comes from knowing we've done our best to listen to God. Peace isn't the absence of problems, but the presence of trust that God is with us, no matter what decision we make. To practice this discernment in our lives, we can adopt some tools and principles. Prayer as a first step. Before making any decision, big or small, lift your heart to God. Ask Him to enlighten you, to give you the wisdom and humility to see with His eyes. Evaluate your intentions. Why do you want to make this decision? Is it out of ambition, fear, or truly to serve God and others? Purity of intention is key. Seek the advice of others. Don't make important decisions alone. Talk to a spiritual director, a trusted friend, or someone with a mature faith. An outside perspective can offer clarity that we lack ourselves. Trust in divine providence. Once you have discerned and made a decision honestly and prayerfully, release it into God's hands. True peace comes from knowing that even if the outcome isn't what you expected, God can bring good out of any situation. In a world that pressures us to make decisions quickly and on our own, discernment is an act of resilience and faith. It is an invitation to slow down, to pray, to feel, and to trust that God's voice is not a shout, but a whisper heard in the silence of the heart. We're building something special here. Subscribe to be part of the journey. Show your support with a like. Share your thoughts in the comments, and invite others by sharing this video.